So obviously, if you haven't heard, the Browns trade Baker Mayfield for to the Panthers for a conditional fifth-round pick in 2024, and they agree the teams to split his finances, which it's about $19-ish million, which is rounded. I think it's 19.2 or something like that. Whatever,
Something like that.
it's round to 19, and they're going to split the salary, so it's 9.5 per team. So that's the deal. It'd be very easy to come on here and just be like, see, I told you Baker sucks, which I did a little bit. I'll take the little pat on the back, but now let's be a little bit more realistic, right? I wouldn't say Baker was a hit in Cleveland, but I think it would be unfair to say that he was a miss, right? I don't think he was a bust by any means. At the end of the day, if you told me that an 0-16 team would get Baker Mayfield and eventually win a playoff game in Pittsburgh, you would have signed up for that as soon as you got drafted. As a Cleveland fan, I would have. They're now relevant, right? They are at least a little bit to his credit, right? I don't think he was the driver of the bus, but at the end of the day, you have to be at least competent to lead your team to the playoffs and win a playoff game on the road against your division rival. Not only your division rival, but the Steelers, right? They've been big brothering the Browns for existence?
For the entire existence of the franchise.
Since Jim Brown retired.
Yeah.
So it'd be really easy for me to sit here and be like, Baker stinks. I don't think he's great, but he doesn't stink.
No.
Not bad. Here's the issue, though. With going to Carolina, people are like, I'm excited for his second opportunity, right? So mostly, second opportunities, like a Carson Wentz, are usually with better football teams, right? I think at least in the last 10 years, Super Bowl year aside in Philadelphia, I don't think you can really argue that Indianapolis hasn't been more well run, right? You draft Andrew Luck, you were really good for a while. Even post Andrew Luck, you've had a great offensive line, a good running game. You draft defense really well. Your coach is solid, stability throughout. As opposed to Philly, who fired a guy who just won a Super Bowl, hired a young coach, which that's fine, chose Jalen Hurts over him, who isn't really that good of a passer as a quarterback. Makes a lot of sense. So, that's a second chance that kind of makes sense. Drew Brees, a second chance that makes sense. Going from the Chargers, they move off him for Phillip Rivers. Fine. Goes to Sean Payton, who makes him, one of the best quarterbacks of all time. That's a second chance that makes sense, right? A lot of them around that makes sense. Here's one that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Going from a top 3 roster in football, maybe not now, but when Baker was playing last year and especially the year before, OBJ, yeah. Jarvis Landry, David Njoku, Austin Hooper, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, a top 3. I still think Donovan Peoples-Jones. I think it was the best line in football. You cannot argue outside of the top 3. Good pass rusher Myles Garrett, good secondary Denzel Ward and others. Linebackers were kind of weak, but the 2 teams in the Super Bowl last year had weak linebacking cores. Doesn't really matter that much. Coach of the year at one point, Kevin Stefanski. Go from that to Carolina. Who knows when Matt Rule is going to be fired, if he will be fired, when. His future doesn't look great. There's already been rumblings about it. There was last year. Defense is good, not special. Young and ascending, I'll give them that. Offensive line is bad. Weapons are a little bit overrated and injury prone. I said in earlier, I don't think DJ Moore is a true number 1. I think he's more of a number 2. C-Mac is always hurt. Tight end position's weak. In a increasingly tight end healthy league, right? TJ Hawkinson, Travis Kelce, George Kittle. These are all stars. Darren Waller, impact players.
Even Pat Freiermuth. He had a great...
Great
first season.
Yes. I'm not sure how that transition works. I will say they can't be any less stable as an organization than Cleveland, so I guess that's a step. I don't know if they're a step up. They've been to a Super Bowl more recently. So I don't think it's a step up, though, in culture. I think it's about the same. That, to me, isn't a second chance that bodes well for him. Right? I think there were better options on the market. Now, I'm not sure what the package, or even if New Orleans was interested. I thought that was a better option. Yet Detroit, in the last couple days, there were rumblings that they were a little bit more interested. As it got nearing this move here, they were starting to get interested. Now, I'm not saying Detroit is historically good, but I would say as a franchise right now, I actually love what they're doing on the offensive side of the football.
Yeah.
Defense isn't completely lost after this past draft. We'll see how it goes. There's a defensive coach, so maybe he can help improve it, Dan Campbell. So I think there were, even the Seahawks, you could argue me into that's a better situation right now than the Panthers.
And I could see that.
Actually, we have the Seahawks, we're going to get to it later, but we have them beating the Panthers. So, I mean, and the Seahawks aren't a good football team. They're going to start Drew Lock at quarterback, right? So
it's going to be horrific.
It's easy to sit here and be like, oh, Baker sucks. No, he doesn't suck. His time in Cleveland was a success, but the second chance, I'm not sure it makes sense for him.
It's just so... Usually, when somebody gets a second chance, like you're saying, at least one area, if any, are better than the situation you came from. Like, at least you can go and pick out a group, whether it be the defensive backs or whether it be the pass rush. Or I don't think you can go to any area of football between these two teams and say Carolina beats Cleveland in this area.
At the time of the peak of that Cleveland roster, even now probably I don't think you can either.
I would say maybe now, but you would struggle to get 1 to 2 of them. But like 2 years ago, Cleveland roster 0.
Maybe pass rush. The Panthers had a pretty good pass rush last year, but I mean with Myles Garrett, is it really that much better?
No. I mean, so now this raises questions. We were talking a little bit about it earlier. What do you do with Sam Darnold if you're Carolina?
You're paying him a lot of money. I don't know what his cap hit would be if you were to like cut him or release him or whatever.
Because now that's a big question mark.
I don't think there's going to be a lot of suitors for. I don't even. You know what? We have a little bit of time here in this segment to kind of BS a little bit. Let's see. Yeah. What is Sam Darnold's cap hit? Let's see what Sam. So Sam Darnold has an 18. We'll call it 19. 18.88 or 86. I'm sorry. So $19 million for Sam Darnold. And they'll only pay about 9.5 for Baker.
You're taking up a lot of money with quarterbacks.
That's a lot of money. I don't think you can cut them.
You can't just cut that, because then who's your third guy?
Like a PJ Walker, and then they just drafted the guy from Ole Miss,
Matt
Corral. Yes, thank you. So 2022. Gosh. If he was cut pre-June 1st, the dead cap would be the entire salary. The entire almost $19 million. So you would lose. They would still go against your cap, and he wouldn't be on your team. I don't think here's the thing. I don't think it's a bad idea to keep him. They're not in the Super Bowl window anyway, so it's not like they are desperate for $19 million to push towards a Super Bowl or anything like that. And at the end of the day, do we trust Baker? He was hurt last year. Do we trust him to go in and play 17 games at a high enough level to where you don't think at some point you will want to pull him and see what Sam Darnold has? Not that we know what he has, but you get my point.
Yeah, at least see.
Give him another shot, even for a game or two. Hope you get some magic in a bottle.
Paying him $19 million, you should probably at least.
I say you might as well keep him. I say you might as well just keep him.
Yeah, you have to, but
it's Baker's job. I don't think that's a question. I think Baker's a better quarterback than Sam Darnold.
Oh, 100%, and I don't think they go out and get Baker to sit on the bench. Because Baker's not the kind of guy you just want stewing on the bench. The less he talks to people on the sideline, the better you have it. So get him out on the field, get him away from the bench.
I don't know.
I see this possibly creating noise. I see this possibly creating turbulence, drama out of Carolina.
I think it 100% does.
They don't need it either. If you're trying to rebuild, you don't bring in more issues. You're trying to rid yourself of issues and start to bring in prospects, start to bring in guys that you want to build around, that you want to pay long term. And I don't think Baker is the guy that any team wants to pay long term right now. I mean, the dude barely had a market, and he had maybe 2 to 3 teams offering for him, and these 2 to 3 teams are horrific teams in the NFL.
I feel kind of the same about how I did when the Steelers got Pickett, for completely different reasons, right? Obviously, Pickett has nothing that we've seen off the field issues, but kind of the same reason that, at the end of the day, the Panthers are upgrading at the most important position, so it's not a total loss. But like you're saying, in a rebuild, we need a loud, noisy, averagely talented guy. I'm not sure that's what we're looking for.
No, it isn't.
I don't know.
Either way, that wraps up the first segment. Make sure you stick around.